I'm still very excited about the Hachalomos that we're learning today.
Unbelievable.
So let's bring up today's sponsors. The sponsors of today's broadcast, we have to be very precise. This week's broadcast is sponsored by MEIR TENNEBAUM Liluy, nishmas, his grandmother, Dabra Reb Dovid Aleh Shalom. If I'm not mistaken, he sponsored the broadcast. This was his grandmother last week as well.
No, his father.
2 weeks ago was his father.
Yeah.
But we appreciate MEIR's sponsorship. MEIR, we take all sponsorships. And it's also sponsored by DAVID LEITMAN, that it should be a schus for a refuah shleimah for Ephraim Fishel and Sara Rivka, who David told me is our age, and he was taken into the hospital yesterday, so he needs a refuah shleimah. And also as a schus as a refuah shleimah for other chaylim, amongst the many chaylim who are not doing well. Did anybody hear an update on Rabbi Levine?
No.
Nobody?
What about Merrifield?
And Rabbi Meir as well.
No, nothing since yesterday.
He went back in that second time, I heard.
Yeah,
Yes, Rabbi Meir is back in the hospital. He's in intensive care.
Supposedly Rabbi Hirsch is doing better.
I heard Reb Meirfeld doesn't have.
Yeah, he's off the ventilator.
I heard Reb Meirfeld is not COVID. It was bacterial pneumonia.
He's berech when the COVID.
Huh?
He's a berech when the COVID.
As I'm saying, that's not. I mean, at least bacterial is treatable. I think. No, I mean that's if I'm correct.
Oh. What does he have?
Bacterial
pneumonia. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true.
Should all have a refuah shleimah. There's enough tsar in the world. My uncle in New York, Baruch Hashem, also, he's doing much, much better.
Baruch Hashem.
His kidneys started to function again. His heart started to work again. So Baruch Hashem.
In the hospital, Yosy?
He was in the hospital. Yeah, he's still in the hospital. He's been in intensive care for a couple of weeks now.
What hospital?
I don't know.
And he's on a respirator?
He is on the respirator, yes.
I have a brother in the hospital.
So we should all have a refuah shleimah. I got yesterday in one shot about 30 WhatsApps, and it was all about different people who are recovering, who are leaving the hospital. So my friend who sent it to me told me, you get drips and drabs. This guy is not doing well. Yen is not doing well. I'm going to send you something to counteract it all. And he sent me a whole list of like 100 people who are Baruch Hashem doing great and that are feeling much better.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
Okay, we only get started because we're sort of under the gun because Yom Tov's coming and we're going to fall 2 blocks behind. So I'm going to try to push. It's very difficult today because today is such a beautiful daf and there's so much to say, but I'm going to have to contain myself. And especially since we learned yesterday that you're not allowed to make jokes in the middle.
Right, only in the beginning.
So we're going to have a lot of stops and starts because otherwise it doesn't qualify as the beginning. A person should always be humble like Hillel, soft like Hillel, and he shouldn't be a captain like Shammai. And we're soon going to see, we're going to chazer over a sicha that Akiva taught us from the Lubavitch Rebbe that explains the fundamental difference in approach to shilos that Hillel had versus Shammai. There were 2 people, shehimru ze'eseh. They met a bet. And the bet was, Amru, they said, whoever can get Hillel to lose his temper, yitoil daled me'ezuz. He will lose 400, he'll win in the bet 400 zuz. Amar echad mehen, I did not, Akiva, is it recording?
Yes.
Okay. Amar echad mehen, one of them said, Ani akatenu, no problem, I can get under his skin. And everyone imagine in your mind who you know can get under anybody's skin. Oysa hayoim, Oysa, of course I'm not referring to anybody in particular. Oysa hayoim, that day, Erev Shabbos hayah, the Hillel chafaf es rosha. Hillel was in the middle of doing his head and shoulders treatment. And he's there scrubbing his head. Holach v'over al Pesach Pesach. So this mechutzef walks by Hillel's house and in a very not respectful manner, Omar, Mikal Hillel, is Hillel here? And that's not exactly how you address the Nasi. Nisatif, so right away, Hillel says, okay, I'm coming right out of the shower. He quickly jumps out of the shower, wraps himself in a towel, puts on his bathrobe, and he runs down, he puts on his kapota, the Yotze L'Krosai, and he runs down to greet this questioner. Amr Lei B'ni Mantayir Kind, Ma Atem Avakish, how can I help you? Amr Lei, he told him, Shelo Yesh Li Yilishal, I have a question to ask. Amr Lei Sha'al B'ni Sha'al, Freg Ma Kind, B'pnei MEIR Shein Shel Bavliim Segalgalos. Why are the heads of Bavliim, Rashi in his first shot says it's like a cone head, and Rashi in the second shot says it's super round. So anything you saw in a sci-fi movie all has its inspiration from the Gemara. So why do they have such weirdly shaped heads? Amalei b'ni du sakita shala de sakita frage she'ayla gedoyle she'alta yasti gefreket b'pnei she'ein lahem chayis pikras. The answer is they don't have good professional midwives, and because of that, they're not careful when the babies are coming out, and they allow the head to become deformed. So thank you, Rabbi. I got to go now. Holach v'hintin shoachas. He waited another hour, and Hillel was in a rush to get ready for Shabbos because of this fellow who had already interrupted his shower once. And then he comes back. Maybe Hillel's in the middle of brushing his teeth or doing other preparation for Shabbos. Mikan Hillel. So what? Quickly, Hillel got dressed up in his kapot again and his Hamburg, and he came downstairs. And he says, "Amar loy b'ni ma'atam avakish. How can I help you?" Amar loy she'ela yesh li lishol. Amar loy she'al b'ni shal ask. And so then he asks as follows: "Mipnei ma einin shal termudian trutos." Why do they have round, small little openings on their eyes? So the Rashi. I'm sorry. So we'll see the Gemara in a second. Amaloi answered, "Bini she'ela gedoyla shalta." Again, it's a good question. They shadorin beil hacholos because they live among sand. So there's two pshatim. Either it means since they live among sand, the Rebbeinu Shloim made what people call evolution and adaptation. We say the Rebbeinu Shloim adjusted their eye shape to make it smaller, so that so much dust, because they lived in areas where it was very sandy, like in desert areas, there were sandstorms. So he made their eyes very small, the openings to their eyes very small, to protect them from getting sand in their eyes. Or the other pshat is since there's sand in their eyes, it causes their eyes to shrink or shrivel. Halach v'himtin shoachas. Then he went away again, and now maybe Hillel is in the middle of making some other preparation, setting up the nearest for his wife. Chazov Amar Mikan Hill is Hill here again. Okay, I'll be right out again. The Sativ, the Yotze L'Krosai. When I was a chosin, the week after my chasana, so you have shilas. You have shilas, the week after your chasana. That's when the first set of shilas come up. The types of shilas that at that point in your stage are very embarrassing to ask. You have to show Myers to a rabbi. It's the first time you do it. It's very uncomfortable. And I was staying in a hotel in Los Angeles called the Beverly Grand, and it was in the shape of a square. It was a mem, so it was open in the middle. And Reb Dovid Feinstein was staying in the hotel the same time as we were. And my window was facing the courtyard, and his window was facing the courtyard. So I saw straight into his room. So I called him once on the phone because I wanted to take him a shaila because I knew he was in the hotel. And he answers his phone. He's in his shirt and his pants. And I said, I want to come show the Rav a shaila. Can I come over now? He said, sure. So I see the window. He quickly puts on his kapota and his Hamburg. And then when they come, put the knock on the door, he answers in his Hamburg and his kapota. And then when I go back, when I went back to my room, I'm looking across the hall. There he is again in his shirt and pants. So anyway, so I felt like this guy, and I didn't make $400 on the deal. Amarli, b'ni ma'atam avakish. What do you need? Amarli she'elo yesh lishol. Amarli she'al b'ni shal. Why are Africans large and flat-footed? Amarli b'ni she'elo gedayel shalta. Again, what a wonderful question. He didn't knock me down and say what a stupid question. He built me up. So he answered with the shadorin bein bitzei amayim. They live amongst the puddles, and again, there's two pshatim in Rashi. One is that since they live in the marshy areas, they have to have very wide feet so they shouldn't sink in. The other pshat is since they walk barefoot, that made their feet spread out and get flat-footed because their shoes didn't hold their feet together. Amar loy. So this questioner said, She'elois raharbe yashli lishol. I happen to have a lot of questions, a lot of important questions I have to ask you. Well, but I am afraid that I'm going to get you nervous for my questions. He sat down, he poured him a tea, he didn't pour him a glass of wine, because if a rabbi pours you a glass of wine, we learned yesterday you should run for your life. We learned about the two people who poured glass of wines. The guys didn't make it out alive. But he poured him a glass of tea, and he said, David, how can I help you? I have all the time in the world for you. Are you the Hillel who people refer to as the Yosy of Klal Yisrael? As a matter of fact, that would be me. If that's who you are, I hope there won't be too many people like you in Yisrael. What did I do wrong? I thought I treated you with respect. Why are you so upset? I lost 400 zuz because of you. You know something? You have to be careful in your mood to be calm. It's worth it for Hillel. You should lose 400 zuz times 2, but the Hillel will not get angry. So the obvious question is, what do you mean you should lose 400 zuz plus 400 zuz? The teretz is, Duvi, I don't know about you, but I've already spent those millions from the 649. So the Dalet Meizuz is not only did you lose the money because you had to pay out, you also lost the money because you didn't win, which you already had in the bank. You know, for every 649 that gets awarded, there's trillions of dollars spent in the fantasies of people's minds before, because they're so sure they're going to win. So Hill said, even your fantasy, 400 zuz you lost, and you actually lost 400 zuz because you had to pay in, but all that is good as long as I don't get angry. So he brings down a very interesting thing that.
Yes, you can just clarify. It's the Kiva. You can clarify. It's not my lottery. It's whoever joined the shir and came regularly to shul by brachas. That's who's in the lottery for now. And I think we agreed that whoever joined after and is still in the lottery and is still coming regularly via Zoom or hopefully in shul, by the time we finish Shabbos, will be added. Just to clarify, in case there's any misunderstanding.
I mean, we have a lawyer now here in the room, so we have to be very careful. We have two lawyers in the room. Okay, Zok to Gemara.
Just if I can, Yosy, just point out as a frustrated betting man, number one, it's possible that the odds on Hillel were 2-1. That's why Hillel was saying Arba Moizus, because the odds were stacked against him.
Very good. So he says another thing. Why was this guy so sure? This guy must have had a plan. Why was he so sure that he would get Hillel to lose his patience? And the answer is, and that's why he asked, are you Hillel the Nasi? What's pshat? The teretz says a Nasi cannot be mochel al kavodah. A Nasi has to demand a certain level of respect, a certain level of decorum. And that's what the fellow asked. If you're a Nasi, you can't allow yourself to be taken advantage by people, to be hakta chainik. You have to have prestige. On that, Hillel answered, you're right. In my formal capacity, I will act with all the prestige that I need to act. But you were coming to me on a personal level. On a personal level, I'm like anybody else. There's a famous story with a freshie in Philadelphia. After his 9th grade, his parents gave him a gift. They gave him a trip to Eretz Yisrael. So he's so excited. He gets on the plane, and he has all his magazines with him, and he has his Walkman. For those of us who remember what a Walkman is, and he's in the seat. He's all ready, all comfortable. And what do you do when you sit down in your seat on the airplane? The first thing you do is you look up and you make a judgment call on every person coming on the plane. Do I want him to sit me? Don't I want him to sit near me? I know, because when I walk in the plane, I see all those scared faces. I hope he won't sit near me. So who walks on the plane after this bacher? Reb Dovid, his own Rosh Yeshiva. And the Rosh Yeshiva walks on the plane, and he's coming closer and closer. And then Reb Dovid stops. 7E, I guess I'm sitting near you. So Reb Dovid says, don't worry. I'm a passenger like anybody else. You could use your Walkman and your magazine. Don't worry about me. I'm just a regular passenger. So they're sitting there in the flight. He puts his Walkman on. He pulls out his magazine. The Yeshiva said, no problem. Halfway through the flight, the Yeshiva asks him, where'd you learn? So he said, Philadelphia. He said, for the rest of the flight, it was silent. At that point, he figured maybe I should get rid of my Walkman,
What were you listening to, Yosy?
I'm sorry?
What were you listening to?
It wasn't me.
Oh.
It was, what do you know who it was? It was Tzvi Weil. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Matana Rabban.
Just to point out, I think even the question at the end when he says to him, "Hillel shekare oischa nasi Yisrael," he wasn't giving up on his bet yet. Even that was a chance to try to get him angry. He was desperate. The questions weren't working, so he got desperate. He threw a bomb here by saying to him, "Let him sit me down and get under his skin that way." And even then, Hillel held out.
Yeah, and that's probably why Hillel said, "I'm not going to get angry now to help you out, because even for $800,
right,
I'm not gonna get angry."
And even if you promise me half of the money, and I can fake it and try to split it, and we'll scam the other guy.
Still not
didn't do it.
Okay, now on this sugya we have the light of the Hachalomos Yitzchak to make lichtig this sugya. Because if you learn the sugya, it could seem redundant, it could seem repetitive, but when you understand the depth of what's going on here, it's a very lichtig. So the Panovich Rav said, "I dream and everybody else dreams." Why do my dreams come true? Because I dream, it's a lichtig. I dream during the day, so it makes things happen. So the Hachalomos Yitzchak macht lichtig from Hachalomos. Let's see what it says over here. And by the way, there are sponsorships available. You can speak to him after the share. So far, so good? So far, so good. There was once a goy, Shammai. He came to Shammai because he wanted to become a ger. Amar lo, he said, Kama Torahs yesh lachem. How many Torahs do you Jews have? Amar lo, shtaim, we have two. Torah shebeksav, but Torah shebal peh. Amar lo, he said, you know what? Shebeksav ani ma mincha. I'll believe you about Torah shebeksav. But for shebal peh, ani ma mincha. I don't trust you on Torah shebal peh. Gareini almanash shetalamdeni Torah shebeksav. Make me a ger almanash that I'm only going to learn Torah shebeksav. I'm not interested in Torah shebal peh. Goraboy, Shammai screamed at him. And he said, go straight to HILLEL. So that's what he did. Bolov Nehil, he went to HILLEL, and Gaire, and he made him into a ger. Yoimakama Omerle, the very first day he taught him the first four letters of the alphabet. Omerle Aleph Beis Gimel Dalet. Lamochar, on the next day, Apichle, he said the first four letters of the alphabet are Tov, Shin, Reish, Kuf. Omerle. So the ger told him, "Well, esma lo yamarti hachi. Yesterday you told me otherwise." Omer lei lava lai didika samchus. So you're saying that you're relying not directly on the Torah shebeksav, you're relying on me, which is Torah shalapeh, to give over to you the Torah shebeksav. Well, once you made that concession, the alpeh nami samach halai. So then you've already admitted that you cannot really understand the real Torah, the depth of the Torah shebeksav, without the Messiah of Torah Shabbat. You've proven that yourself. So why don't you also accept Torah Shabbat? And in fact, this person was accepting of that, and he became a full-blown ger. Shuv Ma'aseh B'nachri Echad Shabalaf Nei Shammai. Another guy came to Shammai. Amar Legareni Almanashe Telamdeni Kol HaTorah Kulo Keshani Oimid Al Regel Achas. I want you to teach me the whole Torah while I'm standing on one foot. Dochvay B'Mas Abinyan. Shammai took his construction ruler and pushed him away, and he said, go straight to HILLEL. And the Pashut Pshat in what we're showing them learn why Shammai used an Amas Abinyan, there's many Pshatim, but the most Pashut Pshat is because Shammai was a contractor. Shammai was a tradesman. So that's what he had with him. He had his pencil over his ear, and he had his tape measure on his belt, so he used it to push him away. Contractors could sometimes get frustrated when you hack him a chinik. That's why he pushed him away. Anyway, he came to Gary. He said, no problem, we can do that for you. What's the one rule? Amarle told him that Sani, to what you is not like, what you is hated, you shouldn't do to your friends. One of the many pshatim, I'm trying to hold myself back because he said so many beautiful things. But one of the many pshatim he said, the Sani, the Yitzhahara who hates you, don't make him into your friend. Keep the Yitzhahara your enemy. Zui kol ha-Torah kula. This is the whole Torah. The idich pirushahu. And the rest of the Torah is merely a parish. Zil Gemor. Once you have this rule, you'll be able to use it as a guiding light that will allow you to do the whole Torah. So that's our second case of a ger that Shammai rejected and Hillel made into a full-fledged ger. Shuv ma'aseh b'nachri echad, show you over achori beis hamedrash, the Shama koil sofer, he heard a sofer writing, and he was reading aloud as he was writing. And he heard about these fascinating, beautiful begodim that the Jews wear. It's what I used to have a guy who referred to my brother Strammel as a pimpin' hat. He saw these beautiful kalim that he also wanted to wear them. Amar halolu lami, who wears these beautiful kalim? Amar lai, l'kain gadol. The kain gadol wears it. Amar ois nachri ba'atzmai. The guy told himself, you know what? I want to be that kain gadol. I like that idea. I want to be a rock star. Shul's on that Rebbe. Elech vis gayer b'shvil si simuni kain gadol. I'm going to become a ger. Ich auch werde a großer Rebbe. So what happened? Volov neshamai. Amar lai gareni al menashe tesimeni kain gadol. Again, he said, go straight to Hillel. Should be other. Hill, he came to Hill. Gaire. Hill, in fact, made him into a ger. Amr lay, he told him, Klum. So Hill says, okay, you want to become king, you want to become a Kohen Gadol? No problem. But first we have to get you into the training program. Klum ma'amidim melech, elamisha idea, tachsich malchus. You can't just become a king. You have to learn about how to run a kingdom. You have to take a webinar. Leich l'moid, go learn what you need to do to become a Kohen Gadol. Halach v'kar, he went and learned the parashiyos, the Torah Shabbat and the Torah Shabbat Peh, about what it's involved in being a Kohen Gadol, and he hit a concrete block, a concrete wall before he started. Kibin Shigia, the Hazar, Akar of Yumos, he said, wow, there's a problem over here. Amalei, Mikraz al Minemer, who's that referring to? Amalei, they told him, Afilu al David Melech Yisrael, even the king cannot overstep his authority and invade the kahuna. Nasa oisa ger kal v'chem b'atzmai. The ger figured to himself, this ger already had a Yiddish cup. He must have eaten gefilte fish already. Uma Yisrael shenikru banim l'makim. Madich Yisrael akal banim l'makim. U'mitich ahava she'ahavim kar lehem b'ni b'chayr Yisrael. And the Rebbeinu Shem has such a love for them that he referred to them as b'ni b'chayr Yisrael. Nevertheless, ksiv aleim v'azar akar v'yumos. If they try to push into the Kuna Gedoyla, unauthorized, the sentence is death. Ger Kal, I'm just an outsider. Shababa Makloi, Uvitarmiloi, Al Achas Kama Vakama, for sure, Al Michayv Misa, if I try to be the Kohen Gadol. So, and he accepted it, and he became an Erlich Ger. But after that, he was frustrated. He said, Bolov Neshamai, Amalei, and he told him, Klum Royu Ani Eliyos Kohen Gadol, Baliksiv Batoyer Avazara Kar Yumos. So Shammai says, I see you ate gefilte fish already. You said Gavod and Klieg. But he told Shammai, had you told me that originally, I would have accepted it. Why did you reject me? Then Bolof na Hillel, Amalei, and Vasan Hillel, you're an Onav. Hillel, and Vasan Hillel, Yenuchel Lecha Brachos Aroishcha. You should bezoichet that many brachos on your head, Shekraftani, Tachas, Kanfa Yeshchina. What happened? Liyam Nizadavdu Shlosh L'Mokem Echad. A rabbi, a ger, and a rock star walked into a bar, and they all met and they compared stories. Amr, they said, Kaptanusa shel Shammai biksha l'tardeni min ha'olam. The Kaptanus of Shammai was going to chase us away from the world, meaning we would have never been able to tap in to the beautiful world of Yiddishkeit. And the sin shel Hillel, but the anlibus of Hillel, kervenu tachas kanfa yeshchina. So it sounds like repetitious, 3 stories. What's the limit of each of these 3 stories? So I heard over from the Baal Hachalomos Yitzchak himself, and please jump in and correct me if a Meshana even kikutzah shel yud from the Torah's emes and the Masikas of what pshat is. And he said you have different types of gerim, and they're all coming very sincerely. So the first ger came and said, "I'm very sincere, and I know the scripture. You know, from my background, we studied the scripture, and I know all the rules, and I'm happy to stick to them. But you Jews have added so many different prohibitions and so many restrictions. It's too much for me. Ich kann nicht. So Shammai pushed him away. Hillel said, you know what? We have what to start with. Let's get started. We'll do okay. The second ger came along and said, ich kann alles tun. I could do the prohibitions and the mitzvahs of the scriptures, and I'm willing to do all the frumkeiten that the Rabun have. But I was told that I have to cut myself off from my family.
I just have to add one thing. So the first, he said, by the first one, he said, Al Beis Gimel Daled, right? And then he said the last 2 letters. So Hillel was telling him, look, you're just like you're without Torah Shabbat Peh, you can't understand Torah Shabbat. You need both of them to understand what's going on. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
So no, thank you. So he was able to explain to him the value of the Torah Shabbat Balpeh, that without it you're going to be lacking even in your Torah Shabbat Shav. So the second ger says, Ich can Alestin, I can do all the mitzvahs, I can have the chazon shir of Muder, I can have the chazon shir of the Arbor Koises, I'll drink kulay, I only to go Rubik or kulay, whatever you want, Ichaltin. I'll have the biggest estrig and the longest Adovis, Mismedish, whatever you want. But I can't cut off my family. We're one. So the symbol of the leg is you teach to me on one leg because I still have 1 foot. 1 foot will be very firmly planted in Yiddishkeit. But 1 foot still in my old society with my family, my old family, and my old first circle of friends. I can't walk away from them. Shammai said, "No, nicht zagaitis. You have to totally cut yourself off." And that hill said, "No, you know what? We can work with that also." And he was successful. The third one was my favorite.
No, he said that's what Torah is. Love your fellow man. You don't have to cut off from you guys.
In fact, Torah promotes a good relationship amongst everybody. Oh, that's right. So he says, oh, I like that. Torah is good. They don't tell us to kill the infidel. They don't tell us to bludgeon the infidel to death. They tell us to be nice to everybody. And the third guy came along and said, I'm asking to cut off my family. I'm asking everything. Oh, but ich will sein a Rebbe. When I saw the Rebbe there standing in front of thousands of chassidim and every move he makes, everyone follows him, I always wanted to be a rock star. That's what I want. Ich will sein a Jewish rock star. Shammai says, you know what? If you're not Bedonshel Kedoshim, you're nobody. Get out of here. Hill says, you know what? Die can talk about a rock star. Kim aran, aber sie wird nicht in einem Mul. Der Horovin, der Verlernen, eventually, die ist auch für ein Agudah Lador, die ist auch kein a rock star.
He said even David HaMelech can't be a Kohen Gadol, so you don't have to miss the spring and Baal from the Heichel fence. You can be a regular
baby steps.
Ad kan l'shoyne.
Ad kan l'shoyne, HaKadosh Hachalomos Yitzchak. Musik mit Vash. I'd like, you know something? Bazar Karav Yumos. I feel like I have to move to the side. And you have the Baal Hachalomos Yitzchak here himself. So I'll tell you from the Hachalomos Yosef. There's a famous story especially now we're talking about times where people are struggling financially. There was a Jewish farmer, and he was a partner with a goy, and every year they did very well. And 1 year there was a coronavirus; they were wiped out. So the goy asked the Jew, "What are we going to do?" So the Jew says, "I don't have a problem. I'm going to go to shul tomorrow. I'll stick up my hand and I'll get dollars. And by the time everything's over, so the guy says, "Can I come along?" He says, the Gerestefagenigan, come join me. So they're sitting there together. The Yid gets dollar after dollar. By the time he's done, he has a couple $100. And the guy, not a penny. If anything, the guy chased him out of the shul. So he asked the G, I don't understand. Why do you have so much money and I don't get anything? He says, because I'm Jewish. I'm one of the boys. So he says, then I'll convert and I'll become Jewish. She says, fine. So the guy converts. Next day comes to shul and he's sitting there and he gets $1 and the Yid gets $1. He's very happy. But he sees on the other side of the shul, there's another guy. Everyone's giving him $5. Forget this. So he asked the guy, how come you're getting $5? From every person, I'm only getting $1. So the guy says, I'm a ger tzedek. Being that I'm a shtickle outsider, they're trying especially to be makar of me, to bring me in. So they actually give me more than they give their own brothers. So the next day he comes back and says, I'm a ger tzedek. So everyone's giving him $5. He's feeling very good. But he sees a chassidish man there on the other side of the platschik, a bibenitel, and langa pais. Everyone's giving him $20 a pop. He can't take it. He goes up to the guy and says, why are they giving you $20 a pop? I'm only getting $5 a pop. He says, I'm an einikel for the melech. And everybody knows I'm a half dose, an einikel for the melech. The melech zol tzedik, bekaifel kavlayim, for shaitza. So he says, okay. The next day he sits there and says, ich bin a ger tzedek, an einikel for the melech. And he got nothing.
Yosy, I'm sorry for my, who's Hachalomos Yitzchak?
That's Reb Grubner.
Oh, you wrote it.
Yeah, he's right there on your screen. You don't see that.
I know, I see him. I didn't know he wrote a sefer.
The whole koshel is lit up from him.
Very nice, beautiful. All right.
So I just want to.
You have to remind Isaac to put his picture on the sefer so people can see the Hadras Panim. This is not. Otherwise, how are people going to know who you are?
And whoever can help out my new Chalik, your contributions are appreciated.
So we learned it's interesting. There was obviously a very, very different approach that Hillel and Shammai had towards assessing these people who came in to want to become Gerim. So the question is where that comes from. So we learned, I was thinking that we learned a sicha back in brachas. In brachas we had a machlokes, is the bracha boirei me'orei ha'esh, which is the bracha that Beis Hillel held it should be, and Beis Shammai said it was boirei me'or ha'esh in singular form. And the Gemara explains there that every light started with one light, and then it developed into multiple lights. So Beis Shammai said you go basher the one light, and that's why you could say boirei me'or ha'esh in singular form, and Beis Hillel said no, you look at it fully developed light, and that's boirei me'or ha'esh. So the Lubavitch Rebbe also brought another machlokes from Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, from Shammai and Hillel. The machlokes was when we dance, Ketiv Meraktim L'fnei HaKala, Beis Hillel says Kala Nova Chasuda, and Beis Shammai said Kala K'moishehi. You call a spade a spade. If she's ugly, she's ugly. Finished. So the shaila is what is the machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel? So Zot Lubavitch Rebbe beautifully. When you think about it, this is an ugly kala. She's a fat kala. She has pimples. Why, if she's not beautiful, why did this guy marry her? Because obviously you have to analyze this issue a little bit more deeply, and you'll in fact see that she brings great to the table. She might have a long hair, she might lisp, she might have pimples, but she has $1 million. So you see there's something there, and maybe he's getting the better deal. Who said she's getting the better deal? Maybe she's getting the better deal. Or maybe she's the big balas midas. Maybe she has other wonderful mileage. Maybe she's very smart. If you look at her closely, if you just look at her at face value, you might think she's not pretty, so what is she? But if you analyze her and you try to figure out why this chassan wanted her, you might uncover that she has beautiful, beautiful mileage. Zok Lubavitch Rebbe, that was the main difference between Shammai and Hillel. Shammai held you judge something by its first impression. And Hillel said, no, you have to look into things a little bit more deeply. And you have to analyze the situation, and that's how you make your determination. So that explains beautifully why Beis Shammai said, the first thing is that it was one light, that's how you make the bracha. Hillel says, no, you have to consider a lot deeper and a lot further, and you have to imagine the development of this and see what it develops into multiple flames, and that's where you make a boirei me'or ha'esh. So I just want to maybe possibly say that was the chiluk here between Shammai and Hillel. Shammai looked at each person at face value as they came in, exactly what they were. Hillel was able to look and see what this person can possibly develop into, and that's how he made his judgment. And I actually heard over by the Dir Shusim, one of these speakers spoke, and he said something beautiful. And he said, who is a chacham? A tippish comes along and says, I want to learn Torah. And when he sees how much Torah there is, and how much there's to learn, and he realizes that there's no way he'll ever have the time to ever even scratch the surface of the Torah, he gives up. That's a shaitan. A chacham is someone who says, you know what, let me first learn today, and we'll take one day at a time. And then before he knows it, he becomes a massive Talmud Chacham. So he asked, so whoever this Rosh Yeshiva was asked, I don't understand. The first guy was right. It's impossible. So what did this guy, he made a very good cheshbon. Well, why is this guy any smarter? So he answered, and he brought down from this Gemara as well, when the fellow said, I only want Torah Shabbat Ksav, I don't want Torah Shabbat Peh, or I'm not able to take on all these things. He said beautifully, a person before he starts learning, sure, it's going to take him forever to learn everything, because that's who he is at this very moment. But once you learn one day, now you're not the same person you were the day before. Now your pace of learning and the Siyata D'Shmai that you will have will accelerate the process. And the third day, you're not the same person that you were the second day, and so on and so forth. So sure, by Sher Sham, both these people starting off trying to learn are in the same place. They could never accomplish what they need to. And the Shaita walks away. What the Pekech does, he jumps in, and as he learns, he becomes better and stronger and sharper, and his growth is exponential, and that's why eventually he's able to cover Kol HaTorah. And that's what Beis Hillel saw. Sure, this Yid, Basher Husham, might not be able to develop into a full-blown Yid. But once he learns a little bit, that little bit that he learns, and in each of these cases, he started learning a little bit, and through that, he understood more about Yiddishkeit and was able to become a full Jew.
You really have to explain Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel, everybody understands Beis Shammai, and it's very hard to understand.
When I learned this Gemara, if I may jump in, when I learned this Gemara with a previous Maggid Shir, I said to him, it's very easy for Shammai to be a captain because he knew Hillel was down the street. If Hillel wasn't there, Shammai wouldn't behave this way. Shammai understood, this is my avodah. I got to do what I got to do. You want, go down the street
I said,
to
he
the
said,
Chabad
go
house.
straight to Hillel. He said,
That's
go
right.
straight to
Go
Hillel.
straight to Hillel.
Marty, imagine two goyim come off the street to DYLive TheAgudah, let's say Shach Zatzal and the Badal Chaim of Chaim. They say, we want to be Jews, but these are our terms. Why, of course, you should, Kim Taram, but you throw them out, right? The kasha is not on Shammai, it's on Hillel, why he took them in.
Yeah, also, Akiva, the flip side is true too, right?
So,
If Shammai's there, then Hillel, can be Hillel.
That's right. They could play off each other.
Just to answer Isaac's question, you see how accessible the Gdolim were, because even those two guys who were betting in the shuk had easy access to Hillel. They weren't protected and kept away from the masses the way they are today. And you have to know somebody. You got to know to get in to be able to shmir. And they were open.
You have to know somebody.
They were the first Chabadsker.
Hillel was.
Reb Moshe Feinstein, a Shaya came to Reb Moshe Feinstein about a ger that was willing to be makabel upon himself all the mitzvahs. And he explains this ger that was not mine in Ter Shabbat Peh, he never said I wouldn't do all the mitzvahs. They learned that Avada, I'm going to accept upon myself every last mitzvah down to the Ein Maftir and Achar Pesach Havikoyim, everything. But he said, I don't believe it. I'll do it, but I don't believe it. That's why, otherwise Avada, you wouldn't be able to let him in. It's in First Gemara, a ger who's makabel all the mitzvahs, and one mitzvah, one tiny little mitzvah he rejects, that's not a ger. It's not called the Kabbalah Torah. So Avada, he was makabel all the mitzvahs, but he was doing it without fully believing in the Torah Shabbat Peh. And Reb Moshe Feinstein, in fact, had a shayla about a ger that came, and he was makabel all the mitzvahs, but he just couldn't wrap his head around the fact that the Torah Shabbat Peh is divine, and Reb Moshe Paskin that they should accept him as a ger. One of my favorite shotim is being that I'm in the trades, and I'm very excited that Shammai was in the trades. The Baba Vaduv said beautiful. Upshat and why Shammai used the Amas Abinyan, because Shammai wanted to explain to this ger that what the ger meant when the ger came along and said that I wanted to learn Torah al regalachas. What he meant was I want it to be easy. I don't mind becoming a Jew and accepting everything upon myself, but I want to know that I'll have an easy life. I want to know that all of the scholars that you told me are going to work. I'll have panusa, and I'll have gezind, I'll have everything. I want to know that if I'm a yid, all my problems are solved. And for that Shammai used a construction tool to indicate a construction site. When you walk into a construction site, it's not beautiful at all. Everything is a mess. There's dangers things could fall on you. You can get hurt. There's tons of problems that have to be navigated, and you don't yet see the beauty of the finished product. The beauty of the finished product is all the way at the end. So Shammai was telling this guy that life is a construction site. It's fraught with difficulty and fraught with problems and full of dangers. And nevertheless, it's worth navigating it, because when you're all done, you end up with a beautiful masterpiece of a home. So that's why I like that. And I like one beautiful word he also mentioned from the Rishner. The Rishner, why is it Allah Sani, why is that the Yesod of Yiddishkeit? So they all explain that the Yesod of Yiddishkeit is Avas Yisrael. At Kedekach, that he said from the Rishner, which brought down that the reason why it's called Shmini Atzeres is because the Rebbeinu Shalom says, Kol Shalai Predaschem. And Pashup Pshat is Hashem is sad that he's separating from us. Zok the Rishner, that's not what it means. Kol Shalai Predaschem means now all the Yidden are together. Yom Tov, they come together, everyone's for bringing together. It's hard for me to see that you now are all going to go your separate ways, and we're not going to have the same bond in between everybody as there is on Yom Tov. That's what's hard for the Rebbeinu Shalom to see, and that's why you see we dance in a circle. Nobody's in the front, nobody's in the back, nobody's over noon. Everybody is equal, and that's what the main Yesod of Yiddishkeit is. Okay, Zok the HILLEL Gemara weiter, because there's tons of ground to cover. Zok the HILLEL Gemara. Amar Reish Lakish. My dechsiv v'hayu emunas itecha choshin yeshuos chachmas v'das. So the ArtScroll teaches this pasuk as follows. And we'll turn back. He says, the stability of your time and the strength of salvation is wisdom and knowledge. The fear of the God is in the storehouse. So it talks about Yediyas HaTorah, and then it talks about the main, what stores everything, what keeps everything together is Yiras Hashem. So the Gemara darshans what all these things are. Emunas zeh Seder Zroim. Emunas is Seder Zroim. Why is Emunas Seder Zroim? So Rashi says, because we have to rely on the farmers, in order for us to be able to eat, we have to rely on the farmers that they're properly separating the Trumas and Maasros. So we have to trust in them. Tosfos actually on the top says something interesting. He brings up to Yerushalmi that the reason why Emunah Seder Zroim is because a farmer has to believe in Hashem. Shemamin b'chai olam v'zayreya. When you're planting, you're actually relying on the Rebbeinu Shalom's nace to make it all grow. So that's why Seder Zroim is referred to as Emunas. Itecha times zeh Seder Moed, which is obvious. Chosen Rashi teaches Chosen as Loshen Yorshim, while Yidei Isha Noldu Yorshim. It's referring to Yorshim, and through getting married, we have children. So Chosen Zeh Seder Noshim. Yeshua is Zeh Seder Nizikin. And Rashi says the reason why Yeshua is referring to Seder Nizikin is because Moshion, Seder Nizikin saves people, because Mazir Lifresh Mehezek Umeischayv Mammon. It teaches people to stay away from potentially damaging others so that they shouldn't have to have liabilities. Chachmas, what's Chachmas? Zeh Seder Kachim. After learning Kachim, I understand that because you have to work very hard to understand it. And V'das, Zeh Seder Taharis, Das is a higher level of understanding. It means a Meiben Davar Metech Davar, and learning through the sugyas of Taharis, we can all understand why it takes a higher level of understanding. Even though we have all these wonderful milas of Chachmas HaTorah, Yiras Hashem Hi Yitzari. The Oitzer, what allows us to hold on to our Torah, to retain our Torah, is the Yiras Hashem. When they take a person to din, I remember they tell him, the first question they ask him is, did you do business with Ehrlichkeit? And then they ask him, Kavati Itam the Torah? And Rashi says that since we have to spend a lot of time and we have to focus a lot on Parnasa, it's important that we carve out and we're Kaveyas designated times to learn Torah. And then they ask us if a Sakta, a period of Rivia. And then they ask us if Tzipisa Yeshua, did you look forward to Mashiach? And then Papalta B'chachma, did you tumul and harva in learning? And Hevanta Davar Metech Davar. It's not just enough to learn, you have to ponder and think about things to understand Davar Metech Davar. Even though you've done all these things, you still need at the end Yiras Hashem Hi Yitzari in Eloi Loi. You need to have Yiras Shemayim. So I just want to point out, I want to remind everybody that remember Schwartz, the Ruv's Adim, once spoke in the Agudah, and they loved what he said. I don't know which Rebbe he said it was, but it was some Rebbe, maybe it was Reb Shalik Kirsteer he was talking about, I'm not sure which Rebbe. The Rebbe said, "When ich raufgegangen in Shemayim, met mich fragen, wie heißt die? Und ich suche Gamliel. Und sie mir suchen, das ist Gamliel, das ist Shaya. Ich sage, Ephraim, die weiß schon mal nur, was fragst du? Then they're going to ask me, Nesas of Nesata Bamuna. They're going to ask me, Kvat ibn Torah? Und ich sage, fragen, lass mich dich fragen, Malach. Hast du einmal gezogen, Schleimah? Hast du einmal geschickt, ein Kind in Camp? Hast du einmal Schachner gehabt? Hast du einmal viele gehabt, Kinder? So die fragt mich nicht, wegen meiner Sache bei mir. Die gehe ich auf Kinder, in die gehe ich zu Schleimah, in die gehe ich Schachner machen Kinder, then come back and ask me about the Nesata Bamuna. That was his recital of what it looked like for certain people. So I have to know from that. Now the question is, Asakta b'piriv river. Why doesn't it say Kiyamta mitzvahs piriv river? What do you mean Asakta? So he brought down from the Marsha. The Marsha says Asakta b'piriv is, it's not asking the question as if you yourself did pirivu. Did you help other people be Mekayim pirivu? If somebody else were having difficulty, did you help them? Were you involved in helping make shidduchim so it should lead to pirivu? That's what it's talking about. And he said over that the life simcha, being that he was a Rebbe, it was hard for him to actually be a Shachner and deal with the nitty-gritty of a shidduch, but he would walk around and he would give out money to Shachnim because he says, I have to be Mekai in my Asakta B'Peri of review. Okay, so more weiter. It's like a person who told the Shliach, HILLEL Kor Chitin Laliyah. I'd like you to take up a core of chitin to my attic for storage. He did it. Omalo Irav to Liba Han Kav Chumtin. Did you put in Rashi a certain type of earth that's very salty and it preserves the grain that's in it? Did you mix in a kav chumtin? Amalei lav, you didn't. Amalei, so the Balabayas told him, mutav in loy halisa. Then you didn't do me a favor by bringing it up because it's going to rot. You need to put a preservative in with it. Tanu Reb Yaakov, who's it? Is it Reb Yaakov? I'm not sure who the ratio is. Let me see what the archbell says.
Shmuel.
When you're selling tfuah, you could mix in a kav chumtain, even though you're shortchanging your customer because you're reducing some of the tfuah because it's being displaced by the chumtain. But of course, he accepts that because he wants, of course, that the tfuah should be preserved. Amar Rabbi Bar Rav Huna, Kol Adam sheyesh by Torah ve'ein by Yirah Shamayim. Anybody who has Torah and does not have Yirah Shamayim, Doime, he is compared to Gizbar Shemoshulah Maftechas Apnimios. He has the keys to the inner door, Maftechas Achitzonius Lemasruloi, but he can't even get in to the safe. So it doesn't matter if he has the keys to a safety deposit box, he can't even get into the safe. But high aisle, how is he going to get in? Machriz Rabbi Yamai, Chaval, it's such a shame, all the Leslie Darto, people who have no doors, have no homes, they have no chutzner, she says, but they made a gate. They built a beautiful gate for their chutzner, but they don't have a gate. Now, if you notice, the previous mashal was the guy had the inner keys, but not the outer keys. This mashal, the guy is the gate, but not the inside. So Rabbi Elephant spoke out, Torah without your Shemayim means you're missing the entrance key and you're missing the inner key. You're really missing both. The Rebbe created this world so that we should have Yirah Shamayim. The Rebbe made the world so that we should have Yirah Shamayim. Reb Simon and Reb Elazar have a Yosy. They were sitting around. Cholif also Reb Yaakov Bar Acha. And Reb Yaakov Bar Acha walked by. Amalei Chad l'Chavri, the Chassidish of the two, told his friend, the Baal Musar of the two, told his friend, Neku Mikamei, let's stand up for him. The Var Dochel Chatanu, the Yid Zayre, and the Ere the Chayid, the Grosh Yid Shemayim. Amalei Yiddich, a friend told him, no, Neku Mikamei, the Gavar Ba'orinu. Darf Eifstein verheben, weil ist ein Talmud Chochem, kann gut lernen in der Rambam. Für das darf Eifstein. Amalei, he told him, was hast du mehr China? Aminulach Anna, the Gvar, the Dochel Chatanu. I'm talking about the greatest mile that a person can have. These Yerei Shemayim. Varmut Li, At, and you're responding to me about Urinu. What's a lamdan worth? What's a lamdan worth if he's not a Yerei Shemayim? So the question is, who was machshiv more, the Yerei Shemayim of the two, and who was machshiv more, the Torah of the two? So tomorrow, this time, the Rebbe Elazar, who the Omar, the Gvar Dochel Chatan. We're going to bring you a raya that's Rebbe Elazar, who holds that the most important thing is the fact that this Yid was a Yerei Shemayim. All Hashem has, where He's comfortable in this world, is Yerei Shemayim. What am I asking for you? And what's the very first thing on the list? Kim liyira. So you see, the yira is the primary importance. Another pasuk that proves this point is Vayomer la'adam hein yiras Hashem hi chachma shekein b'lashon Yavani kairin la'achas hein. The word hein in lashon Yavani means one. So the hein yiras Hashem. The one thing that's important is yiras Hashem. And of course, everybody always asks. The article brings it down. We're bringing a raya from a Greek word, like Vasadas Tatam. So he says all languages have a source in Lashon Kodesh. So the fact that Greeks use the word hein to say the word one means that even in Lashon Kodesh there is such a source. This time, so you have a raya that Yerei Shemayim is number one. Reb Elephant spoke out something very cute, that every letter of the alphabet has a partner that helps it add up to 10. 1 plus 9 is 10, 2 plus 8 is 10, 3 plus 7 is 10, but 5 is stuck in the middle. 5 doesn't have a partner. The same thing when you're looking in multiples. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is also alone. So Hey and Nun represents 5, which is the Hey, and Nun is the 50. To say that Hashem is Yochad b'Yichudai, Hashem is the one of the ones with absolutely no match, and His number one thing that He's machshiv is Yiras Shamayim.
Oh, Yosy, sorry, I have to leave. I have to make a call. Anyway, shkoyach, call too.
Shkoyach for enlightening us with your beautiful pshat.
Thank you.
Darish, my stocks just crashed. Darish Rabavla, now Isaac left. Darish Agula, my it says in the pasuk, Al Tirsha Harbi, don't be too big of a Russia. So to Gemara, what are you trying to tell me? Harbi Hu Lirsha, Hamat Lirsha, don't be a big Russia, a little Russia you could be. So to Gemara, that's not what it means. If you already ate a piece of garlic and now you stink, is anybody going to suggest that you should dig your hole deeper? Avada not. So what it's saying is, even though you did an avera, don't give up. You could stop now. Darish Rabba bar Ravula. Ma'idich ki ein chartzuva islamosham. This is talking about how the Bali avera don't seem to be suffering. Kein chartzuva islamosham. These people, even when they're dying, they're not in chains. They're free. They're powerful. Ubari, and they're strong. Meaning the Baal avera are b'chol toikvam. They're not waning. Omar Kadosh Baruch Hu, leidayin levishoyim she'enam charedim vatzevim miyam misa. It's bad enough that they don't sit there, and they're not nervous about yom misa. Elo shalibim bari lahem kulam. They're powerful and strong. The hainu the Amar Rava ma'dichsiv zeh darkam. This is the way of the avera kesalamai. Meaning yodim rishoyim shedarkam lamisa. They know that they're headed where they're headed, to a bad place, because they're doing averis and not doing mitzvahs. But v'yeshlam chelav al kislam, they have fat covering over their kidneys, not allowing their kidneys to enlighten them with H's that they have to get out of their mess and they have to change their trajectory. So you might say, Shema Tomer Shikhahi man, you might say they actually totally forgot about it, and since their kshalim are covered, they no longer remembered that there's going to be a next world where they have to pay, and maybe now they're shogim, and because of that, we should go easy on them. No, they're always talking about them. They're all saying, I know I'm going straight to hell, but I can't help it. But I'm going straight to hell. So because of that, they know what they're doing, and because of that, they're going to be nanish. Okay, now we're actually getting back to Masechah Shabbos. We learned that one of the reasons that would make it be osur to extinguish a flame is kechasal aner, kechasal hashemen, and kechasal apsila. If you're worried that the actual ner will crack from the heat, and that's why you put out the flame, kechasal hashemen, you want to save the oil, or kechasal apsila, you want to retain the wick. Rabbi Yosy, come on. So Rabbi Yosy said, your potter on everything, chutz min chasal apsila, because it makes it, when you're extinguishing it, you're actually doing something constructive, because you're actually making it into a good wick. So Zaktamar, Rabbi Yosy commands severely. Who does Rabbi Yosy hold like? Ikar Rabbi Yehuda severely. If you hold like Rabbi Yehuda, that a malacha, that a davar shleimah chavin is aser, or a malacha shein tzricha l'gufa is aser. So, for instance, I'm putting out the flame, not because I want to put out the flame. I don't want the kibui, but I want to spare my oil, or I want to spare my ner. So I'm doing a malacha, but not for the actual normal intended purpose of that malacha, not for the typically constructive purpose of that malacha. So if he goes like Rabbi Yehuda, then I feel banach nami lechayiv. Why is he only mechayiv by the case of kechasal apsila? He should also be mechayiv by the case of kechasal aner and the case of kechasal hashemen. If you're Shimon severely, and if you hold that a malacha shen shricha legufa is potter, then psila nami lifter, because the reason why he's putting out this wick is to save the wick. It shouldn't burn up. He's not looking to make it pecham. He doesn't care about that. He's doing it because he needs to save that wick. So really, it's the exact same malacha shen shricha legufa. So how could Rabbi Yosy separate the case of the psila from the case of the ner and the shemen? Amar ulala olam krebitus really hold like Rabbi Yehuda that malacha shen shricha legufa is chayiv. Oy bazoi, why are you not chayiv by ner, and why are you not chayiv by kachasal hashemen? Because Rabbi Yosy soiser almanas livnos b'mkoymai have a soiser, almanas livnos shaloi b'mkoymai lo have a soiser. Stira, knocking down the house, is not constructive. It's destructive. So you're not chayiv. But if I'm only knocking down the house because I want to put up another monstrosity where that house was, that stira is constructive stira. It's actually the first step of the construction process. But that's only if I'm destroying something here to build something here. But if I'm destroying something here to build something somewhere else, maybe I'm going to use the bricks somewhere else, that's not chayiv midaraisa. And that's what the Yosy holds. So because of that, let's analyze what we have over here. Rashi, there's a long Rashi on it, and Rashi explains that the place of the malacha, the makam hastira, is the actual flame burning on the wick. So when I'm putting out the ner, when I'm putting out the flame, because it's kechos ala shemen, because I want to save the oil, that's not called being boine in the makam stira, because the stira is that I'm trying to save the oil, but when I light the fire, I'm lighting the fire at the tip of the wick. I'm not lighting the oil. Same thing goes with the ner. But the wick, I'm putting the wick out, and I'm actually lighting the new fire right there in exactly the same place. That's why that's called stira b'mkoyim. Omali Rabbah. So Rabbah said, how could you say that you're only chayiv for HILLEL Shabbos if the binyan is in the same place as where the stira was? Michti. Kol malacha shalfinan lehum mishkan. Where do we know the attributes and the conditions of what constitutes a malacha? We analyzed the malachas that were performed at the Mishkan. There, it's completely different. Every time they took apart the Mishkan, they were not going to rebuild it where they took it apart. They were going to rebuild it in the new place after they finished resting, because they took apart the Mishkan when the Anan started to move. And then they moved and they relocated, and the Mishkan was always reconstructed in the new place. So you clearly see that the malacha of stira is even if you're going to be building it or rebuilding it in a different place. Amalei, I always say, I could travel all around the world with my child. A mother travels with a newborn baby. The mother can travel all over the world. The baby never left, because the mother might have been in Italy and France and Canada and South Africa, but the baby was in exactly the same place the whole time, with mommy. Because in a baby's world, there's only two places, with mommy and without mommy. Nothing else matters. So that's how it is with us as well. Even the chsiv al pi Hashem yachnu, and it says al pi Hashem yachnu, al pi Hashem yiso. So the Mishkan was always built in the same place. It was built where the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted. The Mishkan's place was with the Rebbeinu Shalom. So, and it was taken apart with the Rebbeinu Shalom. It was put together with the Rebbeinu Shalom, just like a child and a mother. And that's why it's called binyan b'makom stira. Therefore, Keshaisra Amnas Livnos B'Mkoy Moedami. Reb Yochanan has a different pshat in Reb Yosy. So let's just chazer over. The first part of Reb Yosy was that he holds like Reb Yehuda that a malach shen shvicha legufa is chayiv, but the additional condition. The additional condition is that when you're doing kibui, which means you're destroying something, you're putting out a flame, similar to knocking down a building, you're only chayiv if you're going to rebuild in exactly the same place. Here, you're going to light the wick in exactly the same place. That's why it's called stira amanas livnois b'mkoyim. But Reb Yochanan has a whole different shot. Reb Yochanan says, really, Reb Yosy holds that a malacha shen shvicha leguf is potter. Well, if that's the case, why am I putting out the psila? I'm not trying to make the psila. I'm trying to save the psila. So why would Reb Yosy hold that it's chayiv in the case of psila? And here we're learning a very big chiddush with Reb Akiva Eiger's kasha on the chiddush. We're talking about a wick here that when you first put it in, it was not singed. It needed to get singed because we know when you singe that wick, that makes it into a good wick. In such a case, the Bahi, Afilu Rab Shimon Moide, the Kamasak and Mana, is a massive, massive chiddush. Really, technically it's a malacha shen shvicha legufa. The real reason why I'm putting out that flame, is because I want to save the wick. I don't want to make a wick here. But since I'm actually making a wick while I'm doing it, that becomes a malacha shvicha legufa. That's a massive chiddush. It's a massive, massive chiddush. Because I'm actually doing the malacha shen shvicha legufa. I actually don't want to singe that wick. I just want to save it, it shouldn't burn. But since I'm mamish making a good wick at the time, Reb Yosy holds that that's going to be usher. Talk to Gemara. It's actually meduik in our Mishnah, like the second chapter.
Could it be because it's a psik ratio?
I'm sorry?
Could it be because it's a psik ratio?
No, and I'll explain to you why in a minute. But it's a very good, because that's Reb Akiva Eiger. You're mechaber to Reb Akiva Eiger. So when I say no, I'm not knocking you down. I'm saying that's Reb Akiva Eiger's kasha mamish. So I want to get to there in a second. the diuk is the reason why he's chayiv is because he is making pecham. So we look at it like he's actually doing a malacha mamish. It doesn't say because it became a pecham, which would be similar to the Friedik of Pshat, that it happened by itself, but it's called steer b'makom binyan, or steer al-manas livnas b'koybay. Here, the issue is because you're actually doing something because you're making a pecham shemamina. I mean, it's kedai to see the lashon Rashi. She'oisha pecham zok Rashi. Shehu mischaven mamish lasoisa kamin pecham. He wants to make it into a pecham. Achshav. Alma bekibu atzorach legufoy mari. It's called kibu atzorach legufoy. V'lokatani shenasa pecham. So what it's saying is, this is we look at it like that's what he's mechaven, even though that's not his kavanah. But since he's actually making it into a pecham by extinguishing it, we look at it as if he is doing it the kavanah to make a pecham. I don't understand how that works. It's a magic. And Reb Kiveger asks Mati's kasha. It's not logical. He's not doing it. But maybe it should be usher al psik reisha. So let's see this Reb Kiveger because it's a beautiful Reb Kiveger. The kasha frekt Reb Kiveger on Rashi. You could have said a much more understandable teretz like Mati suggested. The chutz min apsila hainu the chutz kechasel apsila chayiv the mari v'loy huvav amabojoim. Exactly the same case. It wasn't singed before. The kibun the ritzoni lachser lahadak apsila, since his intention is to save the psila because he wants to light it at a future time. The nichalei bepecham, and he's for sure happy with it. It doesn't bother him that the wick became easier to light. Mikri tricha legufa. It's called tricha legufa. Why? The afilu be'enim eschaven el have a psik reisha mamish motis kasha. Even in a case where you're not mechav to do the malacha, but it's a psik reisha. If it's a psik reisha that he's happy with the results of that psik reisha, like in our case, that he's happy that it's becoming a pecham because the wick will become better to light. Mikri tricha legufa. That's called malacha tricha legufa. So we know psik reisha the nichalei. If it's going to happen, even though that's not what he's trying to do, but his action is automatically causing that to happen, and he's happy that it's happening, that's called malacha tricha legufa. Omar v'chyoser, and it's even more geschmack. The v'psila shetzorach lahadavaskinan. And that makes much more sense, because that's really what's happening. I'm putting it out not because I want to make it into a pecham. I'm actually putting it out because I want to save the wick. Yet, since it's a psik, that's why it's chayiv. So the pshat that Moti wanted to learn in the Gemara, the only reason why I was able to say it with such confidence that that's not what the Gemara says is because that's Reb Kiveger's kasha about what the Gemara should have said. So I'm asking to Moti to develop a kasha to Reb Kiveger's kasha.
But isn't every mlachsha in tzircha legufa automatically a psik reisha? And is this therefore a yesod that says that Reb Shimon, according to Reb Shimon, every mlachsha in legufa, if you're happy with the result, it's going to be chayiv?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Every mlachsha, it's a malacha by definition, so it has to be a psik reisha. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying every mlachsha in tzircha legufa is a psik.
So I guess the important thing, what you're saying, the important point is, am I nichalei or not?
It seems question number one, isn't every mlachsha in tzircha legufa by automatically a psik reisha for the other what's tzarich legufa? That's question number one. If that's true, does it mean according to Reb Shimon that in every mlachsha, that Reb Shimon, the famous Reb Shimon that holds your pata from mlachsha in tzircha legufa, every time you're happy with the result, it's going to be chayiv according to him. That's how
I understand it. That's how I understand it.
If the first question is right,
I think Shaya is 100%. I think you're 100% right, Shaya, because the definition of malacha she'ein shich legufa is a malacha was done, but I didn't need it to get done.
Yeah, that's
always a psik reisha.
But we'd have to think of a case where it wouldn't.
Always a psik reisha.
Could we think of an example where it wouldn't be? Like in
the whole
a case
point of
where
you're doing the action. You're accomplishing.
The malacha is happening, so obviously
it's not. Yeah,
obviously it's a psik reisha.
When you drag a chair on the grass, does it always make a chritz?
That's a davar she'ein mechaven. That's a davar she'ein mechaven. It's not for sure going to make it. If it's a psik reisha, there's a different shayla there. So I think Shaya is saying right. Every davar she'ein mechaven, but it's every malacha she'ein shich legufa, meaning I'm for sure doing it. It's getting done no matter what. But I don't need.
There's a very hard time. It's very hard to distinguish between malacha she'ein legufa and psik reisha the Leinichele. It's a very
maybe they're the same. Maybe they are the same.
There's a lot of Rishonim on that. I remember once reading a whole page in Shimon Eider's book when Shimon Eider was the only English sefer, and he has a whole page, and I have it here. The difference between Psik Reisha and Malachas and Sheikhel Gufa. And I couldn't, like, I was cracking my head trying to understand it. I remember. I have it here. I have it here. So it's a very hard thing to understand, the difference between Psik Reisha, a case of Psik Reisha, and Malachas and Sheikhel Gufa. With the result, you have in mind the result. I don't even remember, but it was very hard to distinguish.
Pashtus, if you look at it in the simplest form, I think you're 100% right. That every Malacha Sheikhel Gufa seems to be a Psik Reisha, and the Shayla hinges on, in this case, since it's Nichalei, Reb Shimon is going to be Mechai. But Reb Shimon says there's a difference. He actually says there's a difference between Malacha Sheikhel Gufa and a Psik Reisha.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's going to have to be a difference. They're considered two different things in the Gemara. The Gemara doesn't always make them equivalent, right?
Do you remember any examples?
I have it here. I could read it to you. I could find it and read it to you. It's a whole page with 3 different explanations, and I barely could understand any explanation. This is going back when I was 20 years old.
So Kiva, tonight at 7:45, interview Shaya Schachner.
No, we can actually do it now. I mean, there's other one. If the other wants to go weiter, we'll go weiter, and then when we're done, I would love to review that with Shai.
I gotta run. I gotta run. I gotta make it look like I'm doing something, so, gentlemen.
Oh, Shai, you have 5 minutes for me to review Reb Shimon Eider, or you're in a rush?
No, I'm in a rush. I'm sorry.
Okay, so be very much to help. That everyone can have a very successful day, and to repeat Shmuel's words. Somachti barmuli beis Hashem Melech. Just the thought of being able to go back to shul puts a smile on my face, and Hashem should help that we should get out of this mess better than before, stronger than before, healthier than before, richer than before, calmer than before, and happier than before. And as Mechi says, with his arms in the air, we should be batzliach.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. Yosy, I remember a child like this though. Let's say you open a refrigerator, right? There's enough light in the room that you don't need the light of the refrigerator. So you open the refrigerator, the light goes on. So that's Malacha Shein Sheikhel Gufa. You don't need the light in the refrigerator in order to see.
And it's a Psik Reisha. And it's a Psik Reisha.
I got it right.
But the question is if it's a Psik Reisha de Leinichele.
Right. You don't need the light, but we don't say that for you it's lo nichale. We make a klal. If you turn on the light's on. That was the terrorist. You can't say, I don't need the light. I don't want the light to turn on. It's irrelevant what you want. The light's turning on, and there is a benefit to the light turning on.
Here. So I'm gonna check out I have the Reb Shimon Eider. You know, us in our generation, the pioneer of our scroll was Reb Shimon Eider, right? He was the one who first started writing English Sforim. We'll go check him out. Okay.
All right, have a good day.
Have a wonderful day. And Shkoyach, David, for the sponsorship. And everyone should have refuahs.
Amen.
Have a great day.
Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Legacy.
Bye-bye.